Happy New Comic Book Day, geeks, and welcome to issue 68 of the Script Heroes podcast. I'm Katie.
And I'm Joseph, and today we have 6 new books to talk to you guys about. We have new series from Mad Cave, Crush Depth, the first issue of that. We have the second issue of Bug Wars, the third issue of Daredevil Unleash Hell, the Red Band series. We have Nightwing issue 124, along with Titans issue 21, which Katie apparently does not have, Mutant Nation issue 5.
That's right, hit the subscribe button to add our show to your pull list, and let's jump into Nightwing.
Nightwing 124. This is coming at us from writer Dan Waters of Detective Comics, Lucifer, and Homesick Pilots. The artist is Dexter Soy of Red Hood and the Outlaws, Suicide Squad, and Batman and the Outsiders. The colorist is Veronica Gandini, and the letter is Wes Abbott. Katie, we've been fairly big fans of Dan Waters and Dexter Soy's Nightwing so far.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you talk to me about issue 124?
Yeah, this is a super exciting issue. We're coming to, the finale of this first arc with this new team. So
yeah,
this
is our penultimate book
issue? Yeah. And it really does crank the gears up, because we've had Jay showing off the Ringmaster there. Or I'm sorry, does he have a different name? Oh, we just read it. In any case,
I don't know if there's one that
Ringmaster.
comes up in this issue. I feel like it came up in a previous issue, though. But I can't remember
Anyway,
what
the
it was.
Ringmaster of the Cirque des Sin has been kind of on the peripheries, and breaking the fourth wall a little bit in previous issues, and kind of like, a little bit of a meta way, but we get a big introduction to him here. He becomes much more like active and actually interacts with Nightwing, which is so thrilling. Oh yeah, Jay showed just so many good things, but I want to focus in on the Ringmaster first, because this is like the villain that I think we're going to be looking at for a hot sec with Nightwing.
Yeah,
like, he's dealing with all of these spheric things. But I don't think I don't think the next issue is going to be the last we see of this Ringmaster. I think we're looking at kind of a multi-arc long the rivalry building, which is great when you're making a villain who like connects to a backstory. Like when you're making a really personal villain like that, where it's like, if you're doing something from the circus, it's going to feel really personal to Dick Grayson. It's so good to have them have that longevity. But yeah, I think that, as always, Dexter Soy's art blew everything out of the water. It's so, so gorgeous. I also think that this is a really great issue for Dan Waters' writing. Specifically, we've talked about the way that he balances like serious Dick and comedic Dick. And I feel like this was a really good issue for like the kind of, I don't know, like psychology of that. This is an issue where Dick is putting himself in a lot of danger, like willingly, and in a kind of controlled environment with like giving a ton of blood. And you see him being like super witty and quippy, trying to like deflect from that tension. And it's just a very different type of danger than we've seen Dick in the previous issues of this. And I think that Dan Waters yet again just like understands the assignment when it comes to this character. And it's like, oh, Dick is not going to treat this like life endangering blood transfusion as a serious matter. He's gonna act like everything's gonna be fine, and that's gonna be what he holds on to. And I think that was such a well done sequence, and then continued sequence. And I also just love the idea of weakening your hero by having them like not have enough blood. Like, that's such a good reason to lean into the like kind of like hallucination bit with the Ringmaster and stuff. So I think this is a great issue. I enjoyed it a whole lot. How did you feel?
I liked it a lot too. The blood thing's not my favorite. I don't love stuff like that in comics and fiction because, one, it's nothing for from a storytelling perspective, there's nothing for our hero really to do. It's just like, oh, you're gonna do this thing that's super dangerous, and then it's either gonna kill you or it's gonna not. And since it's fiction, we know it's not. So there's no interest in how it doesn't kill you, and there's no interest in the fact that it might kill you because we know it's not going to. So I don't love that. It does get us the nice encounter with the Ringmaster. which is nice. But
Yeah, just to kind of cut in rudely, the actual blood transfusion, less fun. I like a hero who has done that and now doesn't have blood and is out on the streets fighting in this
yeah,
like demonstrably weakened state.
I like that too, and I think that's cool. The actual doing of it, I thought it was a little rough, especially when you just like crank up the numbers. Something that's like there was no reason to say that you took half the blood of an adult human. Like that's a little absurd.
That's
But
fair.
that's
That's
like the
fair.
little stuff that bothers me. Where I'm just like, like we didn't have to do this thing that absolutely should have killed him. There's nothing that like we do to like save him, but then he's just fine. Fine is the wrong word, but he doesn't die, which is nice. But I like a lot of the other stuff going on here. I like his little. I'm gonna say his little friend. Friend is probably the wrong word, but
His little
the
sidekick.
yeah, his little potential new sidekick. Little maybe spoilers there for kind of how this issue ends. I also really like the ending of this issue in general. I think that's very strong as well. But yeah, I think this is an interesting issue because it's kind of like it puts you in one place for the first half, but that's interesting because it's how we interact with the ring.
Mhm.
We're saying ringmaster, could be completely wrong. It's how we interact with the ringmaster for the first time, or I guess the way that Nightwing interacts with the ringmaster for the first time in this series. And yeah, but that means we're very static for a good portion of it, and then we finally start moving again. But I think that works fairly well for a penultimate issue.
Mhm.
But it's a lot of it has to be set up to be like I'm interested to see what the resolution here is, because it definitely feels like it's going to be more of like a part one resolution
Yeah.
with like the overarching stuff continuing. So I'm very intrigued for the next issue, and I thought this was very solid. But yeah, the blood transfusion thing hit me in my little.
You did. That's
Annoying
so fair.
there.
You did remind me of my one gripe. They reference Nightwing interacting with the ringmaster previously, and I don't remember what that was. And
We got the
like,
flashback of it.
oh, was it the flashback?
Yeah, it was the
Because I didn't
flashback.
remember it with the spheric person either, with Olivia either. I'm like, I don't really remember what. Like, I feel like this wasn't
No, we got
as.
I think it was 2 issues ago. We got the flashback to Robin, Dick Grayson.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like we could have. I would have appreciated a little bit more of a little bit more context on that reminder, because it's
That's
just
fair.
like, you know about this, Dick, and he's like, yes, I do know about that. I'm like, oh no, I forgot that.
Right there, right. Well, but a very good issue from Dan
Yes,
Waters and
yeah.
Dexter. Sorry.
But with the Dick having a friend floating around, how do you feel about Nightwing having a Robin? If that's something that they go, I feel like that's kind of the clickbaity thing from the. I
Yeah,
saw that
yeah,
floating
yeah,
around before I even read it,
yeah.
and
There's some.
I don't know that that's what Dan Waters is going for, but people
We'll say
are in that conversation now. How do you feel about Nightwing having a Robin? Do you think it's
instead
a
of
good
We Are
idea?
Rob,
Do
we're
you
gonna
think it's
have
a
We
bad
Are
idea?
Nightwing. That's what this is leading to.
We basically already have. Everybody's tried
Yeah,
to be Nightwing at some point.
that's true. That's true. In any case, we're gonna continue talking about Nightwing, though he wasn't a huge part of this week's issue of Titans.
All right, Titans number 21 is coming to us from friend of the podcast, John Layman of In How We Fight, The Scorched and Chew. If you want to hear some behind the scenes information about this Titans run, be sure to
Yes.
check out the interview that we had with him. It was posted just this past week, so still
It'll
hot
be
off the
linked.
presses. Yeah, be linked down below. The artist on this book is Pete Woods of Robin, Action Comics, and Detective Comics, and the letter is Wes Abbott. Jay, we've been very, very hype on Titans.
Yes. Yes.
And we are. It's a big issue. It's a big issue.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. And a
How'd you
fairly
feel?
Arsenal focused issue,
Which is great for our boy Jay, who
it makes me
loves
very,
him
very
some
happy.
Arsenal.
I really do like this version of Arsenal. He's a lot of fun,
Mhm.
mainly because he's just so problematic at all points.
Yes.
Which is highly entertaining. But this is really an issue that focuses mainly on Arsenal and Raven. Obviously, Raven has had some issues going on for a while. But yeah, this was a very cool issue. We get Psycho Pirate as the main antagonist of this issue, kind of continuing the trend of a single villain to a single issue, which I think we've both been big fans of, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
continues to work really well here. Psycho Pirate in this issue, I don't think it's a spoiler because it happens fairly early on. Like takes over Raven after
Yeah.
booting Arsenal to the side to make it so that he wouldn't be there for it. Um, which was very cool because he was kind of the one person who was like keeping eyes on Raven, so him not being there, allowing it, is a very nice kind of a transition. He
Oh
takes
yeah.
over Raven. It's super super rad. Like I don't know why Raven Psycho Pirate looks so cool. Like that's such a weird thing, but it's a very cool design.
Big ups
And
to
it
Pete Woods on that.
Yeah, big ups to Pete Woods on that. He did such a good job. But it leads to a really, I think, cool final resolution for Raven's
Mm-hmm.
arc even through Tom Taylor stuff,
Yeah.
through John Layman stuff. We finally get a payoff for that I'm not going to spoil, but I actually really, really like that. And I feel
Me
like
too.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts because actually Beast Boy is very barely involved in it, which I
I would
feel
say
like
not at all involved in it.
he
Which
gets
I
he gets a
think
line after the fact, which
exactly, but
is
he is not helpful in any
no,
way.
he's not helpful in any
Um,
way, which is like a first for that kind of thing.
right?
Yeah.
And I, without saying what it is, I want to give big ups to Pete once again on the
Oh, the
resolution.
visual of
Yes.
oh yeah.
Ooh, amazing. Very excited to see going
There's
forward.
also a new design for a character that comes at the end of this
That's what I was
book.
talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking about the the thing that leads into the
That
resolution.
too, that too. This is just
Yeah.
Pete Woods was absolutely feasting
Yes.
on this
Pete
issue.
Woods had a great issue here.
Mhm.
But the other interesting thing is we get a return of a character that actually was introduced after we stopped reading Titans from Tom
Yep.
Taylor, which is a little weird for us. But there's a new character there that actually finally tells us what the hell Cyborg's been doing for like the whole series as he's been like lurking about, leaving the team to go do suspicious things
In the lab. Yeah, so that was a really great payoff. Like you said, it's a little weird because we read the first like 6 or 7 issues of
Yeah, wherever
Titans.
Beast World started, I think we read all of Beast World, and
I
I think
believe we read all of Beast World, and then we stopped when we got to the like devil winged queen or whatever her name was.
yeah.
So it's very funny
Like
over a
8 issues.
course of like less than 10 issues for this character to have been introduced and killed
I
off.
looked. I think they were in 2 issues of Titans and 1 issue of Nightwing before this issue.
Okay.
So
So it's
around the
very
same time.
funny to be like, wait, what did we miss? How did we
Yeah.
miss this? It's like we weren't gone that long.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was exciting. I like the idea of adding these new dynamics in. I think that we've gotten a good base
Yeah.
with our
This was
base
a larger than
Titans.
usual issue in terms of cast because Bumblebee was there in addition, and then Vanadium
Yeah.
is there as well. So,
And as we said, John Layman just so good at writing
It makes
those
it feel
big groups.
natural.
Yeah.
like you don't feel like, oh, here are all these characters. Like it feels very like real and in the world, and
hmm
it's very
And
nice.
like he doesn't over dialogue, but he also doesn't make it so just one character is doing it. Like
Yeah.
everyone gets something to say,
Yeah.
which is always nice because it really helps them feel like alive in the space as opposed to just
Interestingly,
there to be there. But yeah, like you said, Beast Boy not at all involved in Raven's resolution, which I thought was such a good move. Like this, I feel like the Raven Beast Boy like soul tie thing, like they're like always the one helping each other out.
Yeah.
Kind of especially at the start of this, at this Titan series, it felt like Beast Boy and Raven were so like insular from the rest of the team.
Yeah.
And I think that having Raven go through what she went through in this issue was really, really good for her as a character, and I think it's
Yeah.
leaving open space for Beast Boy to have his own solo things, because it's not like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Well, and it comes at the tails of the last issue being a Beast Boy and Raven issue.
Yes,
And then you get
yeah.
this. And then I believe, I don't know if it's the issue after this or like the next issue after that, but we're supposedly getting a Buddy Cop Cyborg Beast Boy
Yes.
very soon.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going into then some Beast Boy.
Yeah, so it's great
I'm
to
interested
see
if
them
Vanadium
kind
is
of
going to play into that.
pulled apart. Who?
Vanadium.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because I feel like that's probably going to be related, because that seems to be Cyborg's
I would think.
thing right now.
I would think. But yeah, so great issue, another kick-ass issue
Fully
from
agree.
John Layman, and a great issue ender. Really exciting stuff.
Setting some groundwork for for something that's we're gonna, I think, finally tackle head on.
Yes. And I like that that's coming at the directive of Donna. It
Yeah.
feels like Donna stepping into that leadership role.
It was a very natural, like, this is the first issue where I feel like it really felt like Donna was the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even before this, it felt like a lot like, oh, Donna is like being said to be the leader, but it still
Right.
feels like Dick's kind of the
Calling the
guy.
shots.
But I feel like that was intentional because she was getting annoyed at it. You had
Right.
like those
Yeah.
rough moments, and it feels like this is kind of the natural progression of like she finally gets the very natural leadership moment
Mm-hmm.
in this issue. So I think it's been a very well done transition.
Hell yeah. Absolutely agree.
But
Um,
how do you feel about Donna Troy taking over leadership of the Titans?
yeah,
Let
and
us
if
know.
not Donna, who would you like to see as the leader of the Titans?
Clearly, the answer is Shazam.
He's not a teen yet. He's only 12.
Is he still 12?
I have
feel like
no
he's got to
idea.
be a teen at this
I'm
point.
not gonna lie, I have no idea. I was just pulling the Damien logic, the keep Superboy out of the Teen Titans logic.
In any case, we're moving into Daredevil Unleash Hell.
We are moving into Daredevil
Yeah.
Unleash Hell.
Let's do it. Daredevil Unleash Hell, Red Band, issue 3. This is coming at us from writer Erica Schultz of Laura Kinney Wolverine, Rat City, and Xena Warrior Princess. There are multiple artists on this book, pencils and inks from Valentina Pinti of Red Sonja, Blade, and the Immortal Thor. Just pencils from Jose Luis Suarez of Teen Titans, Red Tornado, and Vampirella. And inks from Jonas Trinidad of Titans, Black Adam, and Action Comics. The colorist is D. Kanife, and the letter is Clayton Cowles. We've got a lot of people working on this book, so I'm sorry for the mouthful. Oh, yes, throw up the Ghost Rider, because very, very rad. But yeah, Katie, we have really, really, really enjoyed Daredevil Unleash Hell so far. So why don't you talk to me about the Daredevil of it all?
Oh yeah. This it continues the like absolute stellar vibes of this series. I stand by that Red Band editions are dumb and that there isn't so much like
This is
disgusting.
just Red Band, though. Interesting.
Exactly, but that's part of it too. Because I stand by that there is not like enough disgusting violence in this for it not to be fucking polybagged on the rack. But that is
I hate the polybag. Why do Red Bands have to be polybag? Like, if it was just that they
to
had a little
protect the
warning
children,
here.
Jay.
You know, if it was just they had a little warning here for the children of it all, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
But like, why are you polybagging this shit?
Why are you polybagging it?
I hate. I'm like opening it. and I'm like, am I gonna fuck up my book? Am I gonna bend it
Same.
in half as I'm trying to?
But that is neither here nor there. The actual content of the book continues to absolutely stun. I love the character of Muse. I obviously have no like a touchstone for Muse before this, because those of you who have been following the pod for a while now, all of my exposure to Daredevil has been through the podcast and then reading the first volume of Mark Waid's Daredevil like a few years ago. So I am such a blank slate, and Erica Schultz has been so kind to take me on this journey into thinking, oh, Matt Murdock, well, fucking ever. He's not Daredevil. I just care about Elektra. But maybe one day we'll change that. Who knows?
We're gonna read the Zdarsky run at some point.
At some point. Which is definitely just gonna make me only care about Elektra even more.
We're built up to get there, though. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this issue, phenomenal. It's such a great action-packed issue. So it's hard to tell who to give the props to. So just the entire art team does such a good job at this one. I feel like there's such a good sense of movement in these fight scenes. Like, Elektra feels like she's really on the balls of her feet. The character of Muse is so spooky. I feel like it's a little tricky to do, like, you know, it's hard to show super strength on a page, you know?
Yeah.
While also not, like, you know, fighting in space against another super strength person. And I think that they do a pretty good job with it here. It does feel like these blows are really hitting Elektra. And a lot of that also comes from Erica Schultz's captioning, where Elektra is, you know, as always, kind of running an inventory during a fight and doing her best. Yeah.
Elektra monologue captions, and they are similarly fantastic in this
Oh
issue.
Yeah, she's so good at it, and the way that she intercuts in the Ghost Rider as he's approaching, so phenomenal.
Oh my god, I don't have a ton of exposure to Ghost Rider, but I really loved Ghost Rider in this issue.
Mhm.
I thought like even in those little moments, and then eventually the ending of the issue, which holy shit, the ending of this issue, man.
Oh.
Holy crap, what a cracker. But yeah, I thought he was very, very well done. In the I think he appears in 3 pages across the whole issue. I think there's
Mhm.
2 intercut single pages, and then he's at the very end of the issue.
Yeah.
Um, was fantastic. But yeah, this feels like a bit of a throwback to Daredevil Gang War and the like full issue fight scene, just
Right?
with all the captioning, which is I think a welcome throwback because Daredevil
Oh
Gang
yeah.
War was freaking awesome. Um, but yeah, the fight was so freaking rad, and then this version of like a demon Muse because Muse is dead. Sorry, spoilers for like a 15-year-old story. I don't know when Soul's Run was. Really, really long ago spoilers here. I feel like maybe it wasn't that long ago. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But long ago spoilers. But this version of Muse like corrupting an artist is like
Mhm.
really rad to
It's
me.
so cool.
I really, really like that. And it like Elektra's insistence to believe that this person is innocent and that it's just Muse, but like
Right?
continually getting things to be like, no, that's not what's going on here. And Elektra be like, no, that has to be what's going on here. I refuse. It's just such a cool dynamic, and it really leads to like an intense issue because you have the intense fight. You have Elektra's like mental state, which feels very like
Yeah.
on edge throughout this issue, and then again, the ending of this issue is just absurd. This was, I think, easily the best issue of Daredevil Lee Shell. Maybe
Oh,
actually
absolutely.
the best issue of Erica Schultz's Elektra Daredevil so far, across all 3 series because we just keep getting new minis. But I loved this issue. I thought this was phenomenal.
Is a real good issue. I don't know that I'd have to think on what I think the best issue she's done is, but it's certainly up there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like what maybe issue 1 of Gang Wars up there.
Yeah, I'm running through them in my little
Trying to think of
noggin.
any of the I can't remember. I think it was just Woman Without Fear again. Was the one before that? Maybe
In any case,
maybe the
we'll mull
Punisher.
over that.
Maybe the
But I suppose
Punisher.
we'll also toss the question to you. What do you think is the best issue of Electra Daredevil that Erica Schultz has written?
Yeah.
Because there
And how
are
do
a
you feel about
lot to fucking choose from.
how do you feel about the dual name like heroes? How do you feel about multiple people with the same identity? Because I think that's always the conversation you get when it's like an Elektra Daredevil book or something like that. It's like there's the normal Daredevil's back. Why do we have 2?
Yeah,
And
and when Ghost Rider was coming in and just kept saying Daredevil, I'm like, does he know? Does he know?
yeah, I had the same thought. I was like, I feel like he's expecting Matt Murdock, but he didn't say anything when he showed
Yeah.
up there.
So who knows? In
We
any
would
case, it
jump.
is time to head on down to Mutant Town with Mutant
Uh,
Nation.
I don't think either of the stories take place in Mutant Town.
Yeah, it does. The second
Oh,
one
no, you're
does.
right. The Frog one
Yeah,
does, doesn't? Yeah, okay, that's fair.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So let's head on down to Mutant Town. Mutant Nation number 5. We've got 2 stories going on in this book. The first one with writer Paul Aller of TMNT vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Rivals Infinity, and G.I. Joe, and artist Joe Jarrow of Dungeons & Dragons, Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer, and Grim Fairy Tales. Story 2 comes to us from writer Caleb Goliner of TMNT and Naruto, and Sonic the Hedgehog, with art by Elias Chrysacius of Star Wars, Dirk Gently, and Ghostbusters, and August Kanakis of Catfight. Jay. We also have colorists. I'm so sorry. There were just so many names that threw me off. We have a colorist, Adam Gazowski, and the letter Russ Wooten. Jay, you love these turds.
I do.
And you especially love these turds when Tom Waltz is writing them, which
Yes.
he is not on this book anymore. So how are you feeling about the change up in team?
Paul Eller is a very good TMNT writer as well. This is a very interesting story because it follows Pepperoni, but it was a very fun, I think,
Oh
story.
yeah.
Of Pepperoni. It was nice because we got like the bookends with Raph where there was like dialogue and interaction, but in the Pepperoni sections there really wasn't a lot of dialogue. Occasionally another character, but obviously Pepperoni doesn't talk, so there wouldn't be
Hey,
dialogue.
Pepperoni does little like egg dialogue,
Yeah, little
little dragon footprints.
yeah, footprints with exclamation points. um, In any case, I really, really liked the pepperoni story. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was
Mhm.
very like humanizing for Raph. Like it's a nice side of Raph to see because you get like his anger, but you also get the softer side. And it's interesting that this takes place before
Right?
the first four. This feels like a true because both are one issue stories. This feels like a true fill-in issue where something was, not going to be ready in time, and they were like, let's pull out some stories that we can just get
Yeah.
done. And they decided that this made sense to go first, which before the other Raph story, which is fine. It's not a big issue, but it's always funny when they're like, this comes before the other issues in the same series.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I thought this was just like a lot of fun stories because the Punk Frog story was also just kind of funny and fun. It had a little bit more going on to it to some extent, but most of that was basically just the bringing back of characters from another
Yeah,
story. But it was
I think if it was paired up with any other story than Pepperoni going on a solo adventure, it would feel like oh, this is just the lighthearted nothing going on story.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like relatively speaking it has more going on, but the other one is
Relatively
literally
speaking,
Pepperoni.
yeah, the Punk Frogs are very like I guess underutilized is the right word. I was looking for the word. They underutilized characters in the IDW continuity. They've shown up a handful of times, and that's about
Mhm.
all. So it was nice to see them get a story here as well. But yeah, this was really just a fun. I'm looking for more to say, but realizing that I just don't have more to say because they're two
Yeah.
simple, basic stories. They were just really fun, and I thought they were both well done and well executed. I really liked the art across the whole book, especially Joe Jarro's art on the
Mhm.
pepperoni story. I thought that was really, really good. But yeah, it was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I know it's a fill-in issue, but I would absolutely read a series that's just like half issue one shots in the
Yeah.
TMNT universe. Like I actually really like this as a conceptual issue because we get, a bit of the turtle stuff, but as has been the case with Mutant Nation, the second story continues to be my favorite one because I feel like
The punk frogs
in
feel very Katie
they,
driven.
they they do. I love me some punk frogs. I didn't know that I did, but then I read this. I'm like, oh yeah, punk frogs, hell yeah. But I feel like it is just a really nice way to kind of take a tour around a really robust universe. Like it
Yeah.
is all happening within the canon of IDW Turtles. So like it all feels like it's in the past, so the stakes aren't particularly high, but it also is in the canon, so it feels like it matters. You know what I mean with that?
Yeah. The funny thing is they had a series that was basically all stuff like this called TMT Universe years ago, and Paul Aller was one of the writers
Oh,
who did a lot of that. I think that's the first TMT stuff he did was in TMT Universe.
yeah, I
But
think that's super fun. Honestly, if
I
that was
feel
what
like
Mutant Nation was gonna be going forward, I would be 100% on board.
my
Hell yeah.
guess, with no information as to what's coming, my guess would be because I think the idea is we're supposed to get the journey of each of the turtles up to the main book.
That
My
tracks.
guess would be once we've done the Raph, Leo, Donnie, and Mikey stories that'll probably be longer, like the Raph one was.
Mhm.
My guess would be that then we will get more like this. But I think the next issue is actually a Bebop and Rocksteady story, if I'm not mistaken, based on the. Here, I'll flip to the ad for it at the end of the issue as I'm wasting people's time here. But yeah, the cover's fully Bebop and Rocksteady. So my guess is that we're getting another sort of fill-in issue here.
Which I'm fine with. Again, I like these little,
It's fun. I don't think there's
adventures.
that much exposure to Bebop and Rocksteady aside from the
I'm
time they
not.
murdered
They
Donnie.
murdered Donnie, yeah. I
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
that.
So getting a more goofy look at them, like they typically are, will probably be fun for you.
Hell yeah. But yeah, so great issue. The creative teams both did a really good job with this. It just felt like a fun adventure in the TMNT universe.
Yeah. In any case, I don't know what's next. I have forgotten what's next. Is it Bug Wars next? It's Bug Wars. There we go. Bug Wars issue 2. The writer of this series is Jason Aaron of Southern Bastards, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Absolute Superman. The artist is Mahmoud Assar of Conan the Barbarian, X-Men, and Batman and Robin. The colorist is Matt Wilson, and the letterer is Becca Carey. We really, really enjoyed the first issue
Oh
of
yeah.
Bug Wars. It was a big hit for us.
Mm-hmm.
And now we get more of the Bug World, which was your favorite thing from the
Yes.
first issue. So talk to me about your feelings of issue 2 of Bug Wars.
I love issue 2. I think this series is so fucking goofy and it doesn't treat itself as such. Like, it is so serious in its internal stakes, but it's also like it's so funky to me because what I keep trying to compare it to when I'm thinking about it is Gregor the Overlander, which is like a book for 8-year-olds, which is like a fun book for 8-year-olds. To be clear, it's meant to be a book for 8-year-olds, and I'll be thinking about that as I'm reading it, and then I'll turn the page, and there'll be a bug dick just on the page, and I'm like, oh right, not for readers of Gregor the Overlander. So like, it is a book that I think that is going to slowly buy me more and more into like the seriousness, because like as of right now I treat the book seriously because the book treats it seriously,
Yeah.
but I still think it's a little silly and ridiculous. But like once I'm desensitized to bug titties, I think I think it's really gonna feel
Did you
deeply
go and read
intense.
the like lore stuff at the end of the issue?
I did not, the like sketch pages.
Yeah. They were really cool, but it made me laugh that they felt the need to mention multiple times about the fact that some people fuck bugs. Um,
They
like,
mentioned it multiple times in the issue too. What was it, the fucking Flutter District or something? Where they
yeah,
had just a butterfly boning someone in the
yeah.
air.
No, but they mentioned like you know how they have like the bugs, the bugs that like aren't sentient.
Yes.
They felt the need to mention that like some more barbarous tribes will fuck those bugs.
And see, that's the thing, is it's this book is so ridiculous. And like this is a book where I feel strongly, and I mean this is a positive. Jason Aaron was having too much fun. Like there
Uh,
is so much bug
I wish you had
lore.
been at the panel where they were talking about it. Like
Mhm.
you could just see the fun that he had. Like he was mentioning bug fucking constantly.
Oh god,
Uh,
Jason Aaron.
he was just having a good time, and it was great.
And like that's, I think, a really central part of the vibes of this book is that it does feel like a book where it's like somebody loved making this book, and that makes me love reading it even more. I also think the ending of it was really phenomenal, like a really intense like stakes thing going on. uh
Yep,
I also really loved the all of the like visuals of the violence in it. I think they do such a good job with that. The
Ramadasar
like
killed me.
wasp warrior dude,
Oh
so
yeah,
metal. Like I feel like this
I
is
really like the like
mhm.
spider. Well, she's on the cover right
Yeah,
there.
the
I
spider
really like her
priest.
design.
She's
Yeah.
so cool. I love the way that they do her eyes. So rad. This book, it's a book that has all of these like composite parts of a really like badass kind of uh you know, I don't know, barbarian book, and then it's
Yeah.
framed within a backyard and bugs, and
Yeah.
it just makes it so funny, but it's doing such a good job of getting that buy-in while I'm reading it, where I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, this book is taking it seriously, so I'm taking it seriously.
Fully agree. I talk about it all the time. Like I feel like books like this need to take themselves seriously.
Oh
Like it
yeah,
makes it feel so much better. Like it's such a cool like thing that you get all this lore that should feel so silly, and it does sometimes. But like internally, you're like, oh my god, this is rad, or this is cool, or this is terrifying, and you get to follow Slade on this,
yeah,
and that, and he feels like he's so terrified by all of these things because like it's deadly and it's around
it's
him.
happening to him. Yeah.
And this is compared to the first issue because the first issue was oversized for one reason,
Hmm.
but also just like this is very like on a moment. Like we don't cover a lot of ground in this issue in terms of like
Right.
actual time progressing or moving forward. But that works so incredibly well in this issue for like building up the tension throughout this issue. Like it was a really good emotional ride to follow Slade and his
Oh
like
yeah.
you can see like his growing concern as it goes from like this is a little bad, but I'm basically magic and I can fuck these bugs up too. My magic's not working, but maybe it's probably still okay to oh, I'm probably just screwed. And it's a very nice progression there. And I think it really leans into what Jason Aaron is good at, which is this like these bombastic stories, but also like the really intense stakes and the he makes things feel big. Like that's really what
Yes.
he does. He has a very like self importance in the things that he does and the things that he writes. Which for a book like this, which like you said is like a barbarian book, but in a bug world, it works so incredibly well. So I was a huge fan of this issue. I thought it was really, really great.
Amazing. Same. Uh, yeah, it's so fun, and the art in it is so good. I feel like we didn't
Oh
quite
my
give
god.
enough props to
No,
to
it
Mahmoud
has. I mean,
Asrar
look
art.
at Swarm City right there, man.
Right, that's one of the pages that I held up while you were talking about the art. It's just so
Yeah.
gorgeous. The way that they do the combat,
Nightwing there.
so cool. Really rad. But yeah, super duper cool stuff. Are we ready to move on to our final book of the day with Crush Depth?
Let's do it.
Crush Depth #1. This is coming to us from friends of the pod, Tim Daniel and DB Andrea's the writing team. They've done Morningstar, Creepshow, and End After End. The artist on this is Alex Sanchez of Katana, JSA, and Elektra. The colorist is K. Michael Russell, and the letter is Justin Birch. Jay, issue 1, new
Issue
series.
1, new series. What a first issue to really like pull you in. This
Mm-hmm.
was an incredibly cool first issue. We get introduced to this very interesting. Or I guess saying we get introduced to the world is maybe we get introduced to this very specific.
This microcosm.
Yeah, of these people on this submarine. I guess a submarine is maybe not an accurate representative of what looks like essentially a spaceship underwater.
Right?
Um,
So rad.
so yeah, I was probably doing it a disservice by calling it a submarine. But
Yeah,
like that's
immediate
what it.
ups to Alex Sanchez for
Oh my god!
the
Yeah,
sub design. It's so cool.
we open on a splash page and then a double splash right after that of the big ship.
Splash? Is that a pun?
I hate
No,
you.
it's a technical term.
But I feel like that leads into you mentioned Alex Sanchez right off the bat, but I feel like I need to talk about the fact that this issue has such great art. Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
god! This book has an awesome visual style. It really is cool. I love it so much, and it really helps you buy into everything immediately. But yeah, there's a lot of like this issue does a lot of groundwork. Like that's
Yes.
really what it feels like. It's like okay, here's our world again. You see it through these characters on the ship. I guess the crew is this
Yeah.
ship crew's eyes. So you see it literally through their ship. As they take out a little probe at one point, and you can see it through the probe's eyes too. But that's how we explore this world, and it's a very interesting way to introduce it. There's a lot of like technical stuff that's thrown out in this issue, a lot of like what's going on, how long they've been on this ship, which I believe is a decade.
Yeah. In the like first page or two, we get a journal entry from our main character, and she says like day 3,000 or something. And I'm like,
Yeah.
have they been on this ship for 10 years? Because like, then 300 days, 3,000 days, whatever.
Yeah.
Or is she just like over dramatic? And then somebody else says like that they've been down here for a decade, and that was such like a such a like feet on the ground pun intended, or pun lost because we're underwater. Feet on the ground moment that really like. Oh my god, another sea pun. Everything is a sea pun. I was gonna say that really anchors you in the world.
Stop it! Just stop it! You have no right.
Yes, I do. It's international waters.
I hate everything that you are.
Anyway, yeah, it does. They do such a good job of immediately giving you the sense of like where we are in this world, and like the fact that the crew doesn't know concretely. Like one of the big things is that they've been on this sub for 10 years, so they haven't had human contact in over 2 years. That was the last time they had human contact, and it creates such a like sense of isolation that I mean, just from the vibes that it's giving off, it's serving Alien.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I feel like the isolation vibes are really important for that, with that kind of type of horror.
Yeah, I mean it's what motivates them, because the whole thing is like, oh, should we really go after this, distress signal that might get us in trouble? It's like, yes, we need to interact with other human beings. Like we must, get there. So that's kind of our driving force here, and I think that works incredibly well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I don't mean to make assumptions about what's going to happen, but again, it's giving Alien vibes truly right off the bat. So I'm assuming that people are going to start like fighting and dying on the sub.
I think the flash forward gives a decent,
Yeah,
indication of
exactly.
that. We
Um,
do also, we didn't throw out, we do open on like that Kirby splash type, and then how did I get here?
which was again just a very alien imagery. Like it's giving crawling through the vents to get the xenomorph. Um, I love aliens, so I'm very thrilled about this.
Katie will not stop comparing this book to Alien. That will be every month. Come in
It
here for your
truly will
Alien
be, and
comparisons.
every month it'll be the biggest compliment that I could give something. A perfect movie. Yeah, so I think they also did a great job of establishing like who everyone on the crew is
Yeah, they have very
specifically in
defined
relation
personality.
to each other. Like
Yeah.
they get these relationships kind of set out. So I think that when people maybe start turning on each other and might even start you know squabbling and fighting and killing each other on a sub. Like, I'm not saying that I think that's good if it happens. I'm just saying it'd be a really good thing to read. Um,
Katie is saying that she is a huge proponent of murder.
yes.
Um,
Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, I think they do such a good job of establishing these characters in like
agreed.
really quick ways that give you like a bite of who the character is,
Yeah,
so that you get this sense of who they are without needing to dedicate too much page time to them, so we can get along with like the plot of going after this distress signal. I think they did a really good job with that balance.
yeah, I agree full-heartedly. It was a really, really good. Like, you have kind of a couple ways you can go with the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
This was very much a groundwork issue, but by both the way that they bookend, basically, yeah, by the way they bookended this issue, both with that like flash forward start to
Yeah.
immediately make you go, okay, I need to be paying attention, and the ending of this issue to get you to go, oh
So
shit.
spooky.
With those being the bookends, they're able to do this like world building, character
Mhm.
building, groundwork issue without it feeling like it's wasting time.
Yeah.
So I think it was masterfully done on that sense. And yeah, I love this issue. I'm very, very excited to see where the series goes.
Fully agree. Um, if you were stuck on a sub, would you kill your crewmates? Answer down below.
I want to make it abundantly clear to people because this feels important that the book did not indicate that is
Look,
happening or is
all I'm
going to
saying
happen. And
is
Katie is continuing to put that
I would like
in
to
as an
point
option,
out that
clearly because that's what she would do.
one of the very first actions of the book is someone being shot.
Yeah, with a water gun.
Immaterial.
I feel
Yeah,
like
absolutely loved Crush Depth, but that is the last book that we are going to talk about today, which
Yeah.
means it's time to pick our
our
pull
post
list racks.
recommendations. Yeah. So who's
Jay,
reckoning
you
first
have
here?
thoughts?
I think I know what I'm gonna pick. It's a tough week, but I feel
It
like
is a tough week.
I thought about it for once before we
Oh.
started talking.
Well, Mr. Fancy over there, I did not, so you do yours first.
Okay. I am going to give this week's poll list recommendation to Daredevil Unleash Hell.
That tracks.
Issue 3. It was such a good issue.
Such a good issue.
Muse is so fucking intimidating and scary. And oh my, I wish I could talk about the ending of this issue because that is so much of it.
So somebody leave a comment about the ending so we can talk about it in the comments.
Please do. Let's talk about the ending to this issue because it's freaking rad as hell. But I'm not going to spoil it for you because genuinely it's something that hits you if you don't know that it's
absolutely
coming.
I'm so glad you picked Daredevil because it made my job easier. I'm picking Crush Depth #1.
Right.
I feel like they're going to be doing a real good job with the month to month of that.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to be terrified every month.
Certainly up there for me as well. It was a very good week, honestly, across the board. So there were a lot of things that could have gotten recommendations. So if anything sounded interesting to you, pick it up. But definitely pick up Crush Depth issue 1 and Daredevil Unleash Hell issue 3 because we're recommending those, and you have to buy what we're recommending. But
we have more things that we'll be recommending next week. Jay, what books are we going to be talking about next episode?
Just threw right back at me. That's cool. We have 8 books next week because we had 7, and Katie still wanted to add another one. So now we have 8.
Look, it keeps me accountable for reading the books that I pick up.
Yeah. So the first thing is we are jumping onto the main Batman book for the first time in this podcast because it's Hush 2, baby.
It's Hush
And we are not
time!
going to miss out on Hush 2 with Batman issue 158. We will be doing a breakdown of the first I was gonna say first Hush issue, which is not correct. The first Hush storyline. This week it'll probably be coming out Friday or Saturday, somewhere in that realm. So look out for that, and then we'll be reviewing the first issue of Hush 2 or Hush
Hutush. I hate deleting that.
of Hush.
It worked for
week.
Scream 4, and that was it.
So join us for that. It would have worked better if it was the S. Like, that looks a lot more like a 2. In any case, we will also be reading Jeff Loeb's other Batman book, Batman the Long Halloween, the Last Halloween, issue 6. Just getting the sequel series to iconic Batman stories here.
Yeah, Jeff Loeb is working.
He is. And then we have new number 1 from Image. We're taking everyone down with us. We're also going to be reading the second issue of Frankenstein New World to See It Forever. That's the Hellboy Universe book. We're going to be reading the 5th issue of Justice League Unlimited, the 4th issue of Erica Schultz's other legacy hero book, Laura Kinney Wolverine. We're going to be reading the 5th and I believe final issue of Murder Kingdom. And we will be reading the next installment of Ultimate Spider-Man with issue 15. So if any of those 8 books we're reading sound interesting to you, and if they don't, do you read comic books? Because that's a lot of different things.
That's a pretty good spread.
You should join us next Wednesday. But we also have other things currently up on the channel that you absolutely should check out.
That's right. We have an interview with John Layman, the writer behind Titans right now, one of our pod favorite books, In Hell We Fight, and also the comic series Chew. That went up last week. Go ahead and check that out. We
cool
absolutely love talking to John Layman. He's been on the pod before. He's so fun. Really, awesome. Honestly a goober, and I think he would agree with me. So tune in if you want to hear him talk about book condoms.
Yeah. We had a solid little chat about book condoms.
That's right.
He also teased a new Chew adaptation that's in the works. So if you're interested in hearing a little bit about that, you should check out the interview. But as always, we hope to see you next week. Comic Geeks.